Alright. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial over a game that I have created for Tabletop Simulator. It's called President and it's a card game. And we're just going to hop on the game right here. And this is what you'll be greeted with. I made this. I know, I'm so artsy. And you see it says read the rules in the notebook, and you go to the notebook and it's just a slab of text, right? Now, I realize that some people may not know how this works. So, I'm going to teach you how to play the game using myself as an example because I'm lonely. So, preferably this game will be played with 3 people. So, we'll split the deck into 3 people. And we'll take the decks over here and we'll just deal them to different colors, right? There may be an easier way to do this. I don't know. I don't really play the game that often. But who knows? Maybe this will be such a hit that I'll end up playing it some other time. Where's the good button? There. Today we'll be playing as the color white. So, in your hand you have a bunch of cards, and usually I would organize them from lowest to highest, but I don't want to waste too much time, so that's not what I'm going to do. The first thing you're going to want to do is find the 2 of spades. Because the 2 of spades begins. So, this person has the 2 of spades. We will pick the 2 of spades up and we will throw it in the playing area. Alright. So next, it will be Brown's turn to go. And Brown will either play a 2 or higher. Brown has a 3. Brown will play a 3. And we will stack it like that in the playing area. And then we will go back to white. And we will see what white has. Now, white also has a 3. This card and this card are the same numerical value. If a card with the same numerical value is played on a card with the same numerical value, like this, it will skip the next person's turn and go to the next person. So, since he played a 3, I played a 3, it skipped him and went back to him. So then we will need to play a 3 or higher. In this case, we will go ahead and play a 5. And we will go back to me. And this keeps going until you get to, say, a king, right? Now notice, it does not matter. I do not have to go in order from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. If I want to put a king on top of this 5, I can. Now, let's go to purple here and see if purple can play on top of it. Purple can, but for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to pretend that purple here can't play. Okay? So let's just pretend that purple doesn't have any more cards and purple can no longer play. Purple will say, I can't go. We will go to the next player, which will be Brown. And Brown will say, okay, I have an ace. And I will clear this deck. This deck is now clear. And now Brown gets to start the next hand. So, let's say, now, after the first round, it does not matter what card you start on, ranging from 2 to king. It does not matter. And also something else that's thrown into the mix is you can play with doubles. So what that means is Brown here can take his 2 6s and play them like that. Okay? So then when it goes to White's turn, White has to have either 2 6s or higher. And you notice how I have 2 6s, right? So I take these 2 6s, I play them on top of each other like that, And because it's a 6 on top of a 6, or one numerical value on top of the same numerical value as the previous, it skips this person and goes back to brown. So we go back to brown, and brown will need to play a 7 or higher. Now, as you can see, he has 2 queens. Oh, he has 2 8s. Let's go with that. I saw that first. Second. So he has 2 8s like that, right? He plays those, and it goes back to white. And white must counter with 2 queens or 2 kings. Now, as you can see, he cannot. He does not have anything that can beat these 2 cards here. Alright? So then it would go to purple's turn. And if purple could play, purple would play. And if he couldn't, it would go back to brown. And once it got back to brown, with the understanding that white could not play and purple could no longer play, it would go back to brown. And of course, brown would take his 1 ace, and he would clear the deck and start again. And that would go into the cleared hands deck. Now, let's say for example, brown played a king. Okay, it's toward the end of the game. No one really has any cards. Brown plays a king. White can't go, purple can't go, and no one has an ace. Right? Well, this card would get cleared, and brown would start again with whatever card he wanted to. Now, let's say brown played a 9, white couldn't play, and purple played a 10, right? And now no one else could go. Well, since purple was the last person to play a card and no one else can go, the deck will be cleared, and purple will start the next hand. Now, let's say purple, he got rid of all his cards. Purple was the first one to clear his deck. Purple wins the game. Purple is president. But we're not done. Brown and white still have cards. So then let's say brown finished all his cards next, leaving white. Alright? Now what that means is this person is the president, this person is the vice president, and this person is the secretary. Let me elaborate more since you can't see the colors. Purple would be president, brown would be vice president, and white would be secretary. What this means for the next game is purple will take his 2 lowest cards. So let's say purple had a 2 and a 3. He would then trade with the vice president for his 2 lowest cards. So let's say, ignore the spectator. Oh, sorry, that's me. I'm a dummy. Let's say, for example, let's cut the deck again, or split the deck into 3, and yeah, we will take all these cards, and then we will change colors to the other appropriate people. And then we'll change color again to brown. So brown has colors or cards. And draw all these. Alright? So, since purple is the president, we'll go to purple. And purple will find the 2 lowest cards in his deck. So in this case it would be, and don't show the opponent your cards. So it would be, in this case it would be a 2 and a 3. He would lay them down and he would pass them to the vice president. The vice president, who in this case was brown, would find the 2 highest cards in his deck. So in this case it was a king, or it would be 2 aces. So he would take the 2 aces out of his hand and he would give them to the president, and he would take the 2 lowest cards. And the secretary, in this case, since there are only 3 people, would do nothing. Now, if there were a vice secretary, a fourth person, then the secretary and the vice secretary would trade, but they would only trade one card instead of two. I think that about covers it. I've covered the skipping mechanic in the game. I've covered the progression system. I've covered what happens if no one can clear in the titles. And of course, as you see down here, if a player cheats, like let's say purple gave, let's say for the lowest cards, brown only gave king, or purple, his two kings instead of his two aces. Well, if he then played those aces and someone noticed, he would be disqualified, and then everyone else would get, he would get 4 cards, he would get 4 low cards at the next game. So he would get a low card from each member, basically, holding a title. So in this case, since there's only 2 other people holding a title, it would be the 2 lowest cards from white and the 2 lowest cards from purple, and they would go to brown. And brown would get just the 2 lowest cards, and the only advantage to these two is they lose cards, which is what they want. So don't cheat. It's an honor sport like Airsoft. So, I believe that's everything I need to cover. If you have any questions, leave them on the Steam page or